Game number 4, and we're back on track here on the Leafs Nation After Dark, breaking down a Maple Leafs victory over the Nashville Predators here tonight, 7-4. Not the prettiest close to a game that you could have asked for, but regardless, the Leafs get away with the win here. Again, William Nylander on the board. Auston Matthews gets himself a couple here tonight. Easton Cowan records his first NHL point, so there are a lot of positives. And on today's After Dark show, we'll be breaking it all down, as well as our play of the game, our grade of the game. We'll get into our favorite stat of the day. Super chats coming in. Proceeds going to Sick Kids. For those, it's all presentation of Bet365. And we do have a very special guest here today on the Leafs Nation After Dark postgame show. So let's not make him wait any longer, as he is standing by right now. Let's welcome to the show the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Alberga. The Golden Muzzy, as he's known on Twitter. Nick, how you feeling after this big Leafs win here tonight?
I'm doing okay. Much better than your mic, bud. If we want to fix that moving forward, I know the chat's a little fired up about your audio, so we'll fix that. But a big bounce-back victory, I would say, Zach, for the Maple Leafs. Sort of funny, cruising into Game 4 of this season, and people think the sky's falling already, but I think that was exactly the performance the Maple Leafs needed here, following whatever that was yesterday. I know they outplayed Detroit, outshot them, but a much-needed victory is the way I would break it down right now for the Maple Leafs in this game. And points night, too. Like, I did not expect that from this Leafs team, considering what we saw yesterday, the fact that a variety of different guys got on the board. They got some depth scoring. Caden Primeau wasn't really the story one way or another. He made some saves, we'll say, but to get a win from your backup goalie, who's not Joseph Woll or not Dennis Hildeby, I think I'll walk away happy with the result in this game and just move on to Thursday night's game here against the New York Rangers.
All right, we'll figure out if my mic's any better. Is that we're fixed now, or
good.
no? What?
Good to go, bud.
I had no idea how that even happened. That, I guess, is a consequence of moving stuff around here. Yeah, I mean, I was listening to what you were saying there off the top, and yeah, it's tough there for Caden Primeau at the end. I mean, they talked about it on the broadcast here tonight. One of the problems that this guy's had is confidence here throughout his career, and I can't imagine watching that happen at the end is something that's going to increase his confidence. But nonetheless, the Leafs came out a little bit more inspired here tonight. What do you kind of make of that first period and what we saw out of these guys? Do you kind of just chalk that up to the fact that they got themselves kicked in the ass a little bit by Berube, the fact that they kind of were embarrassed a little bit, not necessarily by results? I mean, yeah, it wasn't the prettiest of games against Detroit on Saturday and then on Monday, but I think it was more just the process of how it went down, where it looked like they weren't all the way there. Like, what was it that contributed to this win here and for them to kind of start on time, which is a term that we've been very familiar with dating back to the Babcock days?
It's very interesting because I think through 4 outings, they haven't had a complete effort yet. Like, I know they win this game convincingly, but I thought they took the foot off the pedal again, let Nashville back in the game in a short spurt there, and then Berube calls the timeout. But I think we're starting to see this team building. I know people a little pissed off over what transpired against Detroit over the last couple games, but I do think the key word you used there was process. It's going to take a while. There's a lot of new players. They're obviously without a big piece in Mitch Marner, who's now with Vegas. Like, chemistry was certainly going to be a thing in my world I was going to monitor early on in the season, but it feels like they're getting the reps in more and more at practice. They're up to game speed. They're making plays, generating offense. I think it's interesting, too, that Easton Cowan comes in and the offense kicks it into high gear a bit. But I thought the big story for me, in fact, was that second line, who by far had their best game of the season. If that's what Willie Nylander needs to get going, then albeit. I mean, I think at this point, Craig Berube knows what buttons to push. And I thought that line was really, really engaged from puck drop in this game. That's the biggest positive I can grab from this game for sure.
A little bit annoying, I would say, that a guy who's making $11.5 million and can turn it on, like can score 40, 50 goals in a season, has to be, told by the coach, hey, it's time to get going, for him to get it a little kick in the pants and then finally figure something out. But yeah, William Nylander responded here tonight. That second line did seem to be buzzing a little bit. I think that's kind of one of those problems where you're going to look at and say, hey, the second line wasn't going. Well, you can point a finger right away at William Nylander, or you could kind of start to ask, if the production's not there, was he going? Did he have life? Did he have legs? And if he doesn't, then more likely than not, then the answer is going to be no. The second line's not performing. Let's hone in a little bit on Matias Machelli on that second line. It was Monday's game. He gets bumped off of it. Easton Cowan comes into the lineup, and we'll get to him in a moment. But before we do, you see Machelli step into that second line. I have my own personal doubts just because, not because of him, but because of the actual fit on the line, right? I was under the impression that those two guys, Tavares and Nylander, needed somebody to play with them more so along the lines of a Knies, McMahon, even maybe to go as far as like a Joshua type where it's a heavier body who can play the forecheck, drive to the front of the net, but they seem to find some chemistry with Matias Machelli out there in that line tonight especially, and you could see spurts of it in the game on Monday as well. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I think with Machelli, he's going to wrestle with this all season long. The same thing that I think Nick Robertson goes through on a daily basis. I'm sure we'll see it from Easton Cowan. Like, they're smaller type players, but there's a way to utilize your frame, even if you're a smaller guy. Like, that was the most noticeable thing, I should say, from Machelli in his game tonight was his physicality. I mean, just because you're not as big as everybody else doesn't mean you can't use your size to your advantage. And I thought that was like my biggest takeaway from Machelli. Yeah, he was making plays and that line was generating opportunities, but he was actually using his body to put between himself, the puck, and the opposition, right? I think he has the tendency of playing a little soft like other guys in the lineup at times, and everybody being like, okay, he's a smaller guy, but I think there's various examples around the league of guys who know to utilize their frames, and that was sort of a major takeaway from Machelli's, his ability to do that. But I think chemistry is going to be a work in progress. We're just still trying to find a place in the lineup for Machelli. And again, it's one game, but I think Craig Berube will be very pleased with the second line in this game.
Yeah, I would agree. And you want to get your super chats in here. You want to have a question or a comment read on the show. You want it for Nick, myself, whatever it is. You want to just get a thought off and you want it read out loud and then have us respond to it. You can send those in. Proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. So make sure to get in your super chats here on the show. We do have a couple, so I want to get to those. And one of them right in line with what we were just talking about there, Nick. 6 Cents Digital says, no points for Machelli, but he looked great tonight. I thought he did as well, but a couple other guys that you mentioned, it brought up here in the next super chat, Maxentius Decimus. Cowan looks more NHL ready than Robertson. Let's go. I mean, it always find a way to get back to Nick Robertson. I was worried a little bit, just looking at the frame and having the track record of what happened with Nick Robertson, where it was like, here's this small guy who lit it up in the OHL and could score goals at will, making a transition to the NHL, and we all looked at him as a prospect as like, here's this untouchable. He got to the NHL, and I mean, you could see he's got it in him, but it's never been a consistent thing that Nick Robertson's been able to put together. There's always been a part of me that I just have not wanted to admit out loud that was like worried that Easton Cowan would also have that same issue translating it to the NHL level. Through 2 games here, I think he's looked pretty comfortable. I mean, I told you guys, we were texting in the group, like the only thing I kind of would note about Cowan yesterday, which I think even again today, like he kind of started to figure it out a little bit, was adjusting the pace. You know, I said on the After Dark show yesterday following the game, like, as stupid as it sounds to say sometimes, he was like a step ahead of the play in the wrong way, or he was just a step behind, just trying to adjust to the pace of play. Tonight, he looked even more comfortable with the speed, the physicality. He did get laid out by Yossi, and he got thrown into the post there by Weisblatt, but kid just bounces up and keeps going. Like, nothing seems to faze him, and he looks pretty confident playing alongside Matthews and Knies on that first line right now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more FU in the game of Easton Cowan compared to like a Nick Robertson. I think all around, I think he's got a better game. He can make plays, probably a better passer, can finish. Like, he can do a lot of the little things that you need, and he's not afraid to go into the dirty areas. I mean, you got to credit Nick Robertson. I thought he had a pretty good game as well, had a chance on the power play, so I don't want to take anything away from him. I think that third line in general really, really contributed with Domi and McMahon. So I was pleased up and down the lineup, but I think you look more so at Cowan, through 2 games, he hasn't looked out of place. Like, that's a really difficult position to start your NHL career with 2 absolute studs like Knies and Matthews. But if he continues to set them up the way he is and finding, opportunities and cycling the puck and, creating something out of nothing, forcing turnovers, I think he's going to get in the good graces of Craig Berube's books really, really quickly. And, we'll see after game 5 and game 10 and game 15. I mean, there's going to be some turbulent stretches. It's understandable to bring that up because he is a rook and, he's 20 years of age and mistakes are going to happen. But I think so far through 2 games, they have to be very, very pleased considering what a couple weeks ago we were talking about 4th line or bust for Easton Cowan right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's not just the fact that he's thrown into that first line. It's also the expectations that, like, we all know are surrounding it, right? There's a very clear piece there that needs to be replaced, and nobody's asking Easton Cowan to put up 100 points, but they're looking for you to kind of fill some type of role that can at least assist the other 2 guys and making sure that they produce at the level that they should be, and knowing that that cloud is looming over you can kind of carry a lot of weight, and it hasn't seemed to bother him here so far. He looks real good, and I would agree with you on the jam that this kid's got. I mean, I talked about the 2 plays where he gets hit. The one I thought, I'm like, oh, this kid's teeth are done. I thought he went mouth first into that post. Luckily, he was able to kind of get his hands up and stop himself from going face first in. But, it's just that pop back ability, willingness to take a hit, willingness to cycle the puck and go to the front of the net. I commend him for, especially being a young kid who, when they cut to him on the camera, Nick, like, there's times where you kind of got to go like, oh shit, this isn't the prospects game. Like, this is a regular season NHL game, because he looks like a little kid, but he's been awesome so far. Another guy who's on his line there that I do want to bring up and just kind of get your thoughts on and gauge where you're at in his play in this game tonight and kind of how he's progressed from game 1 of the regular season, where I was scratching my head going, what the hell's wrong with this guy, to tonight here where he scores 2. He gets his first 5-on-5 goal of the season. That'll be Auston Matthews. Obviously, one of them was an empty netter at the end, but the one thing that I've noticed a lot about his game is that the shot has been there. He's willing to take one-timers, which I think is a positive sign. Maybe he's got to dial it in a little bit here and kind of recalibrate so that shot is as pinpoint accurate as we're used to it being. But I thought Auston Matthews through the 4 games has progressively gotten better and better each game. Even looking back to yesterday, 15 shot attempts, he had 8 shots on goal. He was all over it. And then you go into this one here tonight and you're kind of just waiting for him to break through. He finally does that nice passing play between Cowan, Knies, and himself. Where are you at on Auston Matthews 4 games into the season here and kind of how he's improved, I guess, to say, through 4 games at this point?
Yeah, he looks healthy. I mean, that's the biggest part and biggest aspect I'll bring up is like there's no, he's not trying to get away from his shot. I thought it was weird. He was trying to go for a hat trick and he was skating the other way. And, I think as the games get going from game 1 to game 4, he's slowly gotten better and better and better, finding his groove and being dogged in terms of a forecheck and being on the puck and just being that Auston Matthews that we've been prone to see throughout his outstanding career. And I think he's just going to get stronger and stronger. I mean, let's not forget, like, this is a big transition period for him as well. Knowing who was on his line for a long period of time, it's going to take some time. And in short order, I think he's finding it, obviously, with Matthew Knies, but more specifically here with Easton Cowan, or maybe down the road, anybody else who they bring and try to put in that role. But yeah, I think nothing but positives to take from Matthews. I still think he's got like 17 other levels to get to. Like, I think he was good. I don't think he was great. There's definitely room for improvement when it comes to everybody. I still think they've got some fleas. But I think a step in the right direction tonight for sure. I mean, any goal scorer, you feel good whether it's an empty netter or hits off a defenseman's skate. So to get him his cookies, to get him another empty netter, I think that only bodes well as they move forward to the Rangers on Thursday night.
Yeah, and we can make as much as we want about the fact that the guy's got only 1 5-on-5 goal, but like, take a step out here. Let's zoom out of the picture. We're talking about a guy who scored like 35 goals last year. It was it was under 35, wasn't it? I believe last year. Like
Mm-hmm.
real down year for him, considering where he's been at through his career, where it's 40, 40, 50, 60, pushing up there. And all of a sudden he drops down to the 30s. Y'all looking around going, what the hell has happened? He's got 3 goals through 4 games here to start this season. Now, it's not like the torrent pace we've seen him go on when he was in the 69-goal season, but just at least putting the puck in the net at this point is a positive sign. I got 2 more quick things for you before I let you go. I don't want to make you do your whole show here because you still got to talk about stuff tomorrow on Leafs Morning Take, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, right here on this channel. Quick thought, power play. 0 for 2 here tonight. Through 4 games, they've yet to score a power play goal. I thought, look, it's early enough in the season. I think we can do this conversation by like November. By American Thanksgiving, I'm going to put my foot down and I'm not going to do this one anymore. But process over results on the power play. Okay, Nick, bear with me. Power play looked better tonight, I thought. A little bit more dangerous. I thought the second unit had a bit more purpose to them. Still don't find the back of the net, which at the end of the day, you do have to score on these power plays, but still have not been able to capitalize on a power play with these guys. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to ask you a question, but just thoughts.
Yeah, sure. I mean, 3 for 38 to start last season. It's going to be the same old thing. I don't know. It's a work in progress, and with the Maple Leafs power play, I just hope they score when it matters. And that's against the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I have nothing else to add about the power play.
Okay.
These guys are so talented. They're so good. They can score every time they're on the power play, but they just don't. I will say the zone entries were better. The puck possession was better. Yep. Robertson hit the post. It's always great to see that second power play unit actually do something, get some opportunity. But again, we're just waiting till the spring and getting a power play in Game 6 or Game 7 and finding out if the power play is different. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you.
No, that's all good. That's basically the answer that I was kind of looking for. Like, that's what I'm expecting. It's just one, every time I'm looking at it, I'm like 0 for 2. The other game, like 0 for 3, 0 for 4. I'm like, fuck me again. Like, have to have this same conversation. Before I let you go here, just want to get your quick thoughts on the defense. I thought OEL was real good tonight. I've had some kind of conversations on here on the After Dark show a few different times talking about the group. Rosie came on after game 1, brought up the fact that Morgan Rielly was the best defenseman of the 6 that they had in that game. And I think part of that was because Rielly played so well. I think part of that was because the rest of the defense, I don't look at McCabe and Tanev and think that they played poorly, but I don't think that they played up to their standards, and I think that they're still getting into it even at this point. I feel like they've got another step to go, but it was OEL and Benoit that I kept looking at through the first 3 games until today and saying those guys have another level, and they have been struggling. I thought tonight was the first night that they kind of started to get there. What'd you make of OEL's game tonight? Would you make a Benoit's as well? And if you had to put something on this or try to pin something to it, like what's causing this success or this change of play for these guys here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing I brought up on Leafs Morning Take is you can't forget, like, Simone Benoit missed the majority of the preseason. So, like, that was a big thing I was going to monitor, too, is the fact that it was going to take him a couple games, a lot of shifts, and to get back up to snuff, by far his best game of the season in this one. Like, it really was like a vintage OEL performance from his days as the captain of the Coyotes. But having spoken to OEL before the season and the preseason, he did tell me he wants to be more of an offensive-minded guy and more of an offensive threat, and maybe, put some more points and goals on the board. I mean, every time he can get a fortuitous bounce the way he did for his first of the season, I think that's a welcome addition in general. Moving forward, the Leafs are looking for more offense from their back end. That was a big struggle and a big point of contention last year, but they got 3 goals from their blue line now. Jake McCabe scores in this game. So a lot of positives, right? I think any way you can help out Morgan Rielly, who I still think continues to play really good hockey. I love the way he's activating on the rush. He's never going to be the best defensive guy in the league or on the team, but I think he's playing really, really well and playing with confidence. You need more of that, I think, from Morgan Rielly. You need more of that from Ekman Larsson across the board. But as mentioned, I think we still saw moments in this game from the blue line. There seems to be some communication issues. I don't know if you want to call it that, but like they're not progressing as a cohesive unit, and that's leading to the giveaways. Maybe it's a gap thing between the forwards and the D, but it's certainly something you can clean up with some practice time. Unfortunately, they're not going to have much of that this week with the 4-game week, but I think over time they'll rectify that issue.
Yeah, I also think getting into the speed of things here at game pace, like this preseason, maybe more than ever, just felt like the most like going through the motions. I don't know if it was just all the vets that were around all like across the NHL came to the same conclusion of like, we don't have to do this shit next year, so who cares? Let's just get through it. But it just felt like the slowest, sloppiest preseason. Maybe, I don't know if it was just for Toronto or if it was for some other teams around the league as well. Wasn't as tuned in as I was for the Leafs, but finally here now, starting to get things together, getting real reps under their belt. I would agree about the practice, but yeah, we'll see. This game tonight felt like the most together they've been through 4, and even still that at that point it was left some to be desired. But Nick, I appreciate you doing this. Appreciate you jumping on the After Dark show. Hal Gill tomorrow on Leafs Morning Take.
Yeah, former Leaf, now analyst for the Nashville Predators, Skillsy, a.k.a. Hal Gill, who was former teammates with Jay Rosell, and tomorrow is going to drop by, in his career, he's going to drop by Leafs Morning Take, and we're going to get his thoughts on this one. But it's great to see the sky's no longer falling in Toronto. I couldn't believe it. Going on social media, a must-win game for Game 4, but it just shows you the
you didn't
levity
like
of
that?
the situation. We gotta chill, man. I got my Habs fan cousin texting me like we're 4 games into the season. All right, I don't know. The thing I realized a long time ago covering the league is like, and I think the players in general do such a great job of it. 82 games is a fucking long time, man. Like you can get so
time.
About, a Cole Caulfield OT winner on October 14th, but like you can easily go on a 7-game slump in November and forget all about that. So I think the biggest key in October, get some points. Don't put yourself in position where you're in jeopardy to miss the playoffs and have a tumultuous season. If you weather the storm, you're good. But you get the sense really, really quickly, just covering the league, how much of a grind 82 games is. I can't believe there's going to be 84 starting next year, right?
I know, dude. You'd think that they would go the other way, and then they add games. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I appreciate you doing this here tonight. Make sure everyone tunes in. Leafs Morning Take tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Nick, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the rest of the games that you're going to be watching, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
Thanks for having me, bud. Take care.
There you go. Nick Alberga jumping on Leafs Nation After Dark to help us break this one down here tonight. Appreciate that as always. The one thing we will be working on, I still have to figure this out. I told you guys we switched. We got a new computer set up here. We got a new software set up that's going on. So, I mean, that's kind of why there's been some kinks here with like some of the choppy camera or whatever. And then, a little bit of the mic issue that you guys saw happen here. There's some stuff where some things turn on automatically, off automatically that I'm trying to figure out that are going on at this point. But regardless, the call-ins is something I'm working on because I want to make sure that everyone gets involved in the show, feels a part of the show. I want to hear from you guys in the chat and get your thoughts on the game, like where are we at, where are you at on the season, all that kind of stuff. But as of right now, it's not something that we've ironed out, and I don't want to just throw people into the mix to try to figure it out in real time. I don't think that's fair to the callers, to the chat, or to myself, to be quite frank, to have to kind of figure that one out. So that'll be something we work on as we go forward. But regardless, to continue on here on the show tonight, just a quick reminder for those of you who haven't already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe here to the channel. Over 180 people that are watching the show here tonight and only 51 likes. Now, that being said, for every set of 50 likes here on the show, for those who are new, for those who are returning, maybe or have found us once before and don't really know what's going on or whatever it is, just a quick note, for every set of 50 likes, 50, 100, 150, 200, you name it, every set of 50 likes you guys hit, I will do smelling salts. That's right, I have bottles of smelling salts. I've got a brand new set of them over there that I've got, so as we go through and we rip through these during the course of the season, I will continue continue to get the smelling salts out every 50 likes. We did hit them before the end of the show for the first time this season. It's always come in right at the very end. This time, we've at least hit it during the show, in the middle of the show. So thanks for liking. Keep hitting the like button. Let's get this up to 100 here on the show. Here's the smelling salts. Oh. All right. There's the first one of hopefully at least 2 or 3 on the post game here tonight. We also have some super chats that I got to get to, so let's jump on over to some of these super chats and make sure we catch up on what we've got. Got through a couple already, but there's plenty more to go. So a reminder, proceeds from our super chats do go to Sick Kids Charity. So you get your question, your comment in, I'll read, I'll respond to all of them. And on top of that, it goes to a great cause. First super chat here, Robert Bett. Didn't like to see Cowan kind of get manhandled a couple of times, but good to see him get up and shake it off. Seemed to not bother him. The thing I will say with this, along those lines, and kind of just what Nick was saying, he's got a little pep to his step there, right? He's got that little bit of bite to his game where it doesn't seem to deter him from playing his game. It doesn't seem to kind of deter him from still going to those dirty areas, from going and playing in the corner or driving down towards the net or getting in front of the net and battling for position. Like, you still see him do those things, which I appreciate. He crashes hard. He plays with some physicality, some effort. You know, he's got all of those pieces to his game that we've seen some skilled guys come through here that just haven't had. You remember that era during, effectively Kyle Dubas's time, where they were drafting smaller skilled guys that could put up tons of points in the OHL, but when you saw them get to the NHL, they would lack that. Now, Easton Cowan jumps in here, and you even saw it during his time in the CHL. He had a little bit of pushback. He has a little bit of pest in him, and if he could find a way to harness that, I think he can be an extremely effective player beyond just the skill that he already has and can bring to the game. You saw that here. Obviously, as Robert says, the hit by Weisblatt of him into the post, yeah, don't like seeing that at all. I'm not really going to kind of pin this on, oh, he's small, he's weak, he gets thrown around. I think that's kind of a dirty hit by Weisblatt. Pushes him into the net. He's lucky that he gets away with nothing there. No injuries. Just walks away clean. Weisblatt ends up going to the box. I would have liked to see a little bit more response from the Leafs, but I do think they kind of acknowledged, hey, you can't do that. We are going to the power play here. Maybe would like to see a little bit more response out of them, but still, yeah, didn't love that play. But I'm not chalking that up to, oh, he's small, he's weak, he's light. I just think that that's a pretty shitty hit by Weisblatt, to be quite frank with you. The other one was the one in the corner by Roman Josi. Look, he's still a kid, so I will just say this honestly, evaluating that play, that hit, I think part of Cowan, and I'll give him this out, maybe he doesn't want it or need to take it, but I think there was a part of Easton Cowan that was thinking that the whistle was going to go and just kind of like mentally took his foot off the gas for a second, was like, I'm not going to get hit. And then Roman Josi, of all people, who's a big, strong man, leveled him. It's a clean hit, so I don't really have a problem with the hit or anything. Matthews did go into the corner and kind of grab Roman Josi, but I don't have an issue with the hit at all. Just steps into a smaller guy in the corner who had the puck. It is what it is. Like, again, not going to be like, well, he's small, he's light, he's weak. No, that's not where I'm going to pin this one. Another super chat here comes in from our guy, J-Rock. J-Rock, I appreciate the super chat. He says, Joshua was good tonight, got the apple, process we go. Not quite now we go. I respect that. Process we go. Yes, early in the season here with the big shakeups, we're no Joseph Wall. We're second season under this defensive core. Mitch Marner's gone. Easton Cowan's here. Matthias Machelli, Nick Waugh, Dakota Joshua, Scott Lawton. A lot of things have changed. For the time being, it's process we go. Not now we go. Process, we go. I do think Dakota Joshua looked a little bit better here tonight. I thought Wall looked good. I thought he looked comfortable and confident in his play as well. Glad to see Dakota Joshua get a point under his belt. That play was interesting too because it was Knies who blocked a shot. You could tell he was kind of feeling it there. Dakota Joshua jumps out with that first line and fills in for him. Gets down below the goal line, goes to work. That play by Dakota Joshua is kind of like the encapsulation of what you want him to be, right? Big, strong guy, protect the puck down below the goal line, go to work, get the puck out. I'm not going to call it a full cycle game, but, like the elements of it are there, working towards the corner, protect the puck to the outside, drives around out from the net, starts coming up high and hits the defenseman. If he's playing with his normal line, maybe there's a situation the cycle game continues on and he throws that thing back down low and they could work away at it. But right there, identifies an opportunity to go low to high, throws it back up top to McCabe. McCabe shoots the puck on net, which I appreciate these defense right now, actually shooting the puck and putting the puck into danger areas, and it ends up capitalizing. So good on Dakota Joshua. I'm glad that he got that one, but I still am looking for more from the guy. I think he has more to offer. I think once he starts getting comfortable with his line mates and can find some chemistry there, we will see more out of him. For the time being, though, look, he's been fine. I don't watch him and think he's been a detriment. Like when Nick Ritchie came here, there was more often than not, I felt like Nick Ritchie was this big body who was expected to be one thing and never ended up being, and would just do things that would hurt the team. Dakota Joshua, regardless of the fact that he may not be living to these expectations that we had set of him, of the guy who could put up 20, 25 goals and be an offensive threat, not obviously like Nylander and whatever, but, he just be a physical guy who can get in on the forecheck. I think he's got a little bit more to go, but I think he was heading in the right direction in this game here tonight, and I thought you could see parts of it as well in the game against Detroit yesterday on the Thanksgiving one. So I think that Dakota Joshua is just working in the right direction. Another super chat here that we've got as we continue to go through those and continue to go through more likes as we get closer and closer to 100 on the post-game show here tonight for Game 4 of the season. Leafs winning this one 7-4 against the Nashville Predators, moving to 2-2 on the season. We're talking like we got out of a big hole here. It's 2-2 on the season. It's still early. But another super chat here on the Leafs Nation After Dark. Robert Betts. Robert, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Throws another one. I don't really know what to say to this one. I truthfully have not really been that tuned in to what's happening in that game. I was kind of just watching it on the side, trying to focus more on the Leafs one, and then in between whistles and periods and whatever, I would turn more towards it. But Robert Betts says, don't really care, but what's wrong with the Rangers? Shut out again, 2-0. Have not scored at home this year. Robert, I don't know. Max Entius Decimus in reply says, Rangers suck. Entirely possible. Entirely possible. I don't know. I'm not watching the Rangers as close as I should be to be able to give you that type of answer. Maybe some of it is just luck. I don't know. I have we have multiple Rangers fans. I mean, Laz, I can't wait to hear what Laz has to say about this. I'm going to be tuning into Morning Cup of Hockey tomorrow to hear his thoughts on the Rangers not being able to score. I've got another buddy who's a Rangers fan who was texting me during the game, and he's like, all he could do is just make fun of himself and this team about the fact that these guys can't score. So I don't know. Don't got an answer for you. Yeah, Rangers did stink the joint out last year as well. All right, what else do we want to get to here on the show as we continue to motor through? 35 minutes in. We've got some other stuff that we got to cover. Play of the game, grade of the game. We got to get to our best bets. 2 of them here tonight. 2 best bets, which I am pumped about as well. But I think for the time being, we should get to our stat of the day. And ladies and gentlemen, our stat of the day is presented by a new sponsor. Crave the Stats is a presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins if you're hosting, to all the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip before, during, and after the game. Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. All right. Crave the Stats. Send your favorite stat of the game or of the day in the chat. I want to know what you guys are thinking, how you guys are feeling about this one, and where you're at. Like, I think that this can be a bit of an interactive segment like we have with the play of the game and the grade of the game and all that kind of stuff. I will give you guys mine, but I want to know where you guys are at for your Crave the Stats. My stat of the day is going to be Easton Cowan getting his first point. Finishes today. Stats of the day for Easton Cowan. 1 assist. He's a +2. He had 2 hits. He did finish with 2 giveaways here tonight. He played 14 minutes and 5 seconds of ice time, which comes in obviously there behind Matthews, Nylander, Bobby McMahon, who ends up getting more ice time than him here tonight. But all of that comes at even strength. And this is a guy I would not hate the idea of giving him an opportunity on that first power play if they can't seem to figure things out. He does seem to have skill. He's a crafty guy. He sees the ice pretty well. So good on Easton Cowan for getting his first point. I'm also going to go with Auston Matthews. Stats of the day for Auston Matthews, just recapping his stat line. 2 goals, +3 for Auston Matthews. He had 5 shots on goal tonight. He has 3 blocked shots, a hit, a giveaway, and 21 minutes and 31 seconds of ice time. Good on Auston Matthews. I think that, you're going to look at it and he's got 1 5-on-5 goal. But as I mentioned to Alberga, you take a step back and you look a big picture at this one. When you consider the fact that a year ago we were looking at a guy who fell off from 69 goals to scoring in the 30s, to start the season here with 3 goals in 4 games, regardless of how they come, regardless of empty nets, 5-on-5, whatever, the fact that the puck is going in the back of the net has got to be a good feeling for Auston Matthews, who is so used to scoring goals. Last season must have felt like the drought of all droughts, not being able to score at the clip that he's used to. And, to be able to have 3 and 4, even regardless of how they've come, it's probably a weight off the guy's shoulders knowing, like, hey, there's some type of production. We are scoring goals. We are feeling good. We are getting ourselves to the right areas, and he's shooting the puck, which is the other thing kind of pointing out in the stat of the day here. 5 shots on goal for Auston Matthews. He had 8 shots on goal yesterday. He had 15 shot attempts, which is as many shots as the Red Wings actually had on goal. So it feels like Matthews, that health, it's there. Like, we're getting to the right direction with this guy, and maybe he could return to the elite, dangerous goal scorer that he was 2 years ago. So those are your stats of the day. Now let's take a moment here to get to our play of the game. Play of the game for me is going to go to the Auston Matthews goal that comes off the stick of Easton Cowan and Matthew Knies. And it's more than just the goal and a pretty passing play on a 2-on-1. When you take a look at the entire picture of that shift, it starts with Auston Matthews hounding the puck carrier behind the Nashville net into the corner, causing problems for him up the wall. As the Preds player breaks out with the puck into the neutral zone, he's got Matthews hard on his ass chasing him down. He's got Matthew Knies coming across the ice, barreling in on him, taking away space and pinching him off towards the wall. And now he's being converged into the wall like that. He's forced to make a rushed pass across the ice that actually ends up just being a turnover onto the tape of Easton Cowan, who's standing right in the perfect spot, picks it off, and then hits Matthews in a nice little turn as him and Knies start heading up the ice. Hits him in a break pass right on the tape. They take off 2-on-1. Matthews across to Knies. It is a little bit of a bobble pass. Knies corrals it, takes a second, passes it back to Matthews. And then Matthews, rather than just smacking at it right away, which I feel like he probably would have done last year, maybe just because of sheer fact of injury or just not feeling as confident or whatever it would be, would have just whacked away at it. But he takes that extra second to grab the puck, bring it in a little bit to make sure it gets past the pad, and puts it in past Noonan for his first 5-on-5 goal of the year and his first goal of the game. And Easton Cowan picks up a point. Matthews picks up a 5-on-5 goal. That's my play of the game. You know, it starts at the back check. It starts at the pinch off on the wall in the neutral zone. Cowan pass up, and then those two guys take off. Great passing play, and Auston Matthews finishes that one off. So that's my play of the game. I'm going to go honorable mention to the Jake McCabe goal that has Dakota Joshua going to work down below the goal line, passing it up high, and he gets the shot off. That ends up going in. As well, lesser down the list, but just wanted to shout it out, was the Oliver Ekman-Larsson goal. Not the prettiest goal in the world, but I mean, I'm laughing watching it because hits Willie up on the wall in their own zone. He takes off, crosses through the neutral zone, gets inside the blue line. It kind of hits the brakes, forcing everyone from Nashville back. And then you've got OEL who's driving in, crosses the blue line. Nylander hits him with the seam pass. And, I mean, he makes a beautiful attempt at hitting Machelli. And I think it was Weisblatt maybe at that point who tried to get his stick in the way. Could be wrong about the Preds player. But whoever it was, they actually end up breaking up the pass. It just so happens that it goes into the net. I think if they don't get their stick on it, that is going to Matias Machelli, and he is burying, but doesn't end up being the case, and OEL ends up with his first goal of the year, which probably helped him a lot as well, because he's also a guy that had started a little bit rough. Maybe he's feeling it. Probably not because of the offensive production, but just he struggled a little bit through the first 3 games. Now you score, you're into this thing physically, you're on the board. It's got to be a little bit of a weight lifted off your shoulders as well. So I'll just give a little bit of credit to that. It was a nice play by Nylander to hit the stop up and hit OEL coming through, and then a great attempted pass backdoor that actually ends up working out in the favor of OEL and the Leafs there. Those are your plays of the game. What else do we have for tonight? There was some other stuff that I had kind of written down or was thinking of, so I'm just gonna quickly take a look at what I have for some of that, because there was one or two other points that I wanted to get across. I think that the Primeau stuff I'm not gonna dig into too much. I'll see how this plays out. I don't know that he's a long-term solution here, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. I don't think anybody that's in the front office of this Leafs team anticipates him being a long-term solution. You didn't enter the season being our goalies are Stolarz and Primeau. You entered with the anticipation that it's still yet to be determined what's happened with Joseph Woll, when he'll be back, what's going on, whatever. But when he does, that's obviously a welcome return back to this team and somebody you'd love to have in there alongside or behind Stolarz, however you want to put it. So I'm not going to put too much pressure on Caden Primeau. Happy that he got the win, and hopefully that can kind of give him a little bit of confidence there. The one thing I want to point out, the second period, I thought they started on time in the first period. They sure as shit did not start on time when it came to that second period. That was an abysmal start to the second period. The Preds get right back in that one. 2-1 immediately, and then next thing you know, it's 2-2. The Leafs look like they're trying to figure out what the hell went on. They didn't realize that the game had started back up again. They got to be a lot better coming out, especially at the beginning of periods. They got it going throughout the rest. They obviously ended up closing out the second period up 4-2 and kind of figured that thing out and then remained in control the rest of the way, but you don't want to just kill your crowd, which is already pretty quiet, with a rough start, because that was ugly and it kind of felt like, this thing might get away from us here. And luckily it doesn't end up being the case, but felt like we were heading in that direction. All right, let's now get to our quick shout out, Bobby McMahon. I thought Bobby was real good again tonight. That guy's an X factor for this team. If he can get going and he can be consistent, he can put up 20 plus goals, hopefully 25, 30 if he really gets going. He's a guy who could be a very, very, very important piece to this team, especially into the postseason. Especially into the postseason, because last year it didn't carry over, and you look down into that bottom six and you look at the depth and you look at the lack of scoring and you kind of start to wonder what the hell is going on. You're not getting the production in the second round from Marner, from Matthews, from Nylander, the way that you were in the first round, or, the way that you were in the regular season. And then you're kind of looking around going, hey, when are the other guys going to step up? And for the most part, it was like Simone Benoit playing hero, or Ekman Larson, or Max Domi here or there, or Max Pacioretty, but it wasn't consistent. And then you look at Bobby McMahon, a guy who had been really good for the majority of the season, who just kind of disappeared. Starting pretty consistent here to begin this season. I think he's looked good. I think he's looked aggressive. I think he's looked physical. I think he's looked fast. He's got a couple goals here. That's a guy that I think could make a real difference for this team. Last one I'll answer before I go to our best bet and our grade of the game to wrap up the show tonight. All the world's a stage. Zach, what about Knies' gameplay and team player today? I thought Knies looked really good. I mean, this is a guy who shows up every night, even if he doesn't have his A game skill wise or offensively. That no matter what, you're going to get an effort, like a full-blown effort from a guy like Matthew Knies every single night. He's never going to take a night off. I thought he looked good. You could see he commits to the back check, he commits to defense, he commits to blocking shots. And then you look at the offensive game from the guy. Walks away from this one here tonight, 3 assists, +2, 3 shots on goal, 2 blocked shots, 2 hits. He's a physical presence. He's very involved in everything. He's always in there to protect and stand up for his teammates. I thought Matthew Knies looked good here yet again tonight, and he's a guy that I just feel like you never have to worry is going to cheat you on effort. Let's recap what we had for our best bets here tonight, and I'm feeling pretty good about myself, not going to lie, after this one. Our best bet segment is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION, NATION. That's code NATION, NATION at Bet365. You must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So for tonight, we had 2 best bets. The one I was quite concerned as the game started to go on that we were just not going to end up getting there, because we had a slow start and the guy was not able to find himself getting pucks on net at all. And yet it ends up turning out that he does get there for us. William Nylander, I had 4+ shots on goal, over 3.5 shots on goal at +205 for Nylander. Shots on goal, $50 on that one, a half unit. Returned $102.5 of profit. We also had Easton Cowan, at plus 120 to record 1+ point or over 0.5 points. This one ends up turning into another win for us here. We go 2 for 2 on the best bets tonight. Easton Cowan records his first points of the season. That would be a $163 or $62.5 profit night. And that also means that we are at $122.5 in profit on the year while having a 3-3 record. Again, with the bets here on the post-game show or the pre-game, however you want to chalk this one up. It's not about what the record is. I don't care if I'm above 500 on the record. I don't care what it is. I'm caring about the profit, and to this point, we are up 1.23 units through the first 4 games, which would include a total of 6 bets. 2 in the Red Wings, 2 in the Canadiens game in Game 1, 1 in each of the Red Wings games, and 2 here tonight. So we cashed both of those. Profit of $123 right now, and as Brim B says in the chat, that's 12 Guinnesses. You're damn right that's 12 Guinnesses. That is probably something we'll be celebrating on Friday when the Jays come back here from Seattle and they win both games in Seattle and the series is tied 2-2. Take that profit. We'll bring it to then. All right, before we get to our grade of the game and close out the show here tonight, I am being asked for the Deserve to Win a meter by Leaping Lanny Poffo, and just to might as well, because Leaping Lanny is always in here, and it's honestly a real shame that I hadn't got to it yet at this point in the show. The Deserve to Win a meter currently comfortably sitting at 72% for your Toronto Maple Leafs. So deserve to win on the meter and deserve to win on the stat sheet. Toronto Maple Leafs walk away from this one with a 7-4 victory over the Nashville Predators. Breaking it all down right here on the Leafs Nation After Dark show. Still to this point, 86 likes. We are 14 away. 14 away from more smelling salts. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe here to the channel before we wrap up the show here tonight. And with that final note, let's get to our final segment, the grade of the game. If you guys are in the chat right now, you guys have thoughts on this game tonight, you have thoughts on how this team played, whatever, send it to me by form of a grade school grade. How did they do? A's, B's, C, D, E, F, whatever your thought is, get those in the chat. I will give you mine, and then I will recap where we're at in the chat. I'm going to go with a B+ tonight. You still go 0 for 2 on the power play. Caden Primeau comes away from this win with an .867 save percentage. I don't think that all those goals were like terrible or his fault, but you know, there's a couple where you're kind of like, I think you could have been better. I think that it's good for him to get a win, good for him to get this game under his belt. I was happy with what I saw from Matthews and Nylander tonight. Not overly thrilled with the fact that it took William Nylander 3 games and a Craig Berube public calling out for him to kind of get his ass in gear, but he looked a lot better tonight. Walks away with 4 shots on goal in this one, a goal, 2 assists for the guy as well. Glad that Easton Cowan was able to get himself on the board for his first career NHL point. Took him 1 game before he really started to kind of get acclimated to kind of the speed, the tempo, the physicality, all of it. I thought he looked a little bit better tonight than he did even in the game the other day. Machelli, I felt like fit into that second line a little bit better. You know, I could be convinced at the B. I see a lot of B's in the chat right now, and I think that that's probably pretty fair, especially at this point in the season. You know, you watch Wall, I think he looked decent. I watched Dakota Joshua, I think he looked fine there as well. Some of those guys, you know that they could take another step. The other thing is, you got to realize that Scott Laughton and Steven Lorentz coming back into this lineup really changes the way things look there as well. Still want the power play to find a way to get the puck in the back of the net, but even with that said, still pretty happy with tonight's game. Thank you so much to everybody who watched the show here tonight. Thanks to everyone who liked, subscribed, commented, super chat, all of that. We got to all the super chats that came into the show here tonight. There's a decent chunk of money for Sick Kids charity, so thank you guys. Did the smelling salts as well. I appreciate it. Appreciate Nick Alberga for jumping on here. With that said, that'll end the show here tonight as the Leafs go to 2-2 on the season, defeating the Nashville Predators in this one 7-4 here tonight. And just like that, we are back on track. We're in a much more comfortable position than where we would have been at 1-3. And I'm sure the boys tomorrow on Leafs Morning Take will have a much more positive show alongside Hal Gill joining them. 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Leafs Morning Take kicks off. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe here, Leafs Nation 401 right here on YouTube as well. If you're looking for podcast form, which my dad recently just discovered, I was on his podcast somehow, the Leafs Nation After Dark. You can listen to the podcast there if you choose so. So thank you for watching. I will see everybody back here on Thursday for another Leafs Nation After Dark, as well as a Leafs Nation pregame video earlier in the day. But Rosie and Alberga back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Thanks for watching. See you guys on Thursday, and as always, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take, Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos. Make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And